Welcome to Oval Window Racing. I'm Clinton, and this is my garage. And today we are going to try and attempt to change valve springs while the heads are still on the engine. And when I mean attempt, I'll get to that here in a second. This is a fairly straightforward and easy job to do if you have the tools and can overcome two obstacles. One of them is to remove the keepers from the retainers, and you can't see the keepers or the retainers with the valve cover on, so we'll show you a simple and easy way to remove your valve cover real quickly. Bam! Now hopefully the gasket's not stuck on there too bad. It's not. Alright, with that done, you can see retainers, rocker arm, and then on the valve there's these little clips that hold the valve to the retainer here in the spring, keeps them from falling and getting smashed and mangled and bingled and whatever else is there. Secondly is not to drop a valve into the cylinder. So if you can remember to have your piston placement or your air compressor hooked up, that will not happen. And one of the tools you'll need is this valve compressor tool. I don't remember where I got this, had it so long, probably a swap meet. This is pretty simple, just kind of bolts right on where your rocker arms are, and you move it around to whatever valve you're going to work on. You got to get to the outer side ones, and you just set it on the outside. So that's going to do is compress the valve spring so you can get the little clips off and carefully release it. The other bugger I got are these lash caps here. These are really good lash caps. I've got these from CD Performance along with the valve springs. I have to say I am pretty impressed with these. I'll kind of give you a reason why. I'm jumping around here a little bit, but I'm comparing them to my old valve springs here, but they are relatively the same height. There's a tad bit of difference there. These are, I'll give you a good shot of the number here, VW 650 dual valve springs, part number 1493. I've always run, I think, the Bug Pack dual valve springs in the past, because that's pretty much what my head builder always carried. And after a couple years of use and setting, I mean, I'll have to say I do neglect. I should remove the rocker arms when I store the car, but I don't. And if you don't, you should probably rotate the engine every now and then, and I get lazy and don't do that either. So I'm actually very surprised to see that these things are the same, almost the same height. In the past, you know, the old ones always vary in height and always be shorter than the brand new ones. What I am going to do here and a little later, if I can get these things off, is I do have I gotta find it. Somewhere in my shop I have a valve spring scale, and I want to compare the old ones to the new ones and see how much tension they lost. And just for my own peace of mind, maybe I really don't even need to change these yet. Who knows? You know, I do abuse this, not like I used to abuse my NA engines, but they do see a little RPM, and when the old transmission gave loose, I actually, the engine did actually over rev a little bit, enough to flip the belt over on the fan, and I haven't had that happen in a long time. So yeah, let me get to see if I can get these things off. Oh yeah, tools. One other tool. I went and got one of these leak down tests from Harbor Freight, and you know, I don't really know much about leak down tests and really how to perform them, but what's kind of nice is they come with all these different hoses, one of them being the one that actually goes into the spark plug hole, so you can air your cylinder up. And probably another good thing to have is this flywheel lock. Since we're dealing with the engine stand there, we can lock the flywheel to keep anything moving around, especially when we go and zap this with some air. Sometimes I don't want to push the piston down if you have it up to the top. And yeah, like I said earlier, I recommend having it close to the top. What you do have to worry about there is we probably will be using a hammer here, and I'll show you that. Make sure that the valve's not going to smack the piston when we're hammering the valve spring. Hopefully that don't happen. Earlier I did do this. Like I said, I didn't want to remove heads, but see by the picture, I did have to remove a head because I did exactly what I told you guys not what to do. Again, we're taking lessons from Clinton. Don't do what Clinton does. Well, in most cases. Well, let me get the air compressor pumped up. Okay, one of the things I gotta kind of show you guys, one of the only ways, effective way I found to release the retainers from the clips is using big old hammer and a socket, and basically kind of put it on here and bam. And when you do that, you're simulating kind of a situation of like a valve flow, so you have to be careful. Problem I had earlier, get a little closer in here, is these clips right here. That's your retaining clip. They'll fly out. And if both of them fly out, your valve just drops. That's why it's important to have either the air on or your piston up high. I've only got one clip out right now, but as soon as I remove the other one, the valve's going to go down. So to prevent that from happening, so I don't have to remove the head again, I'm going to get put some air in there. The other thing I'm having trouble with is getting the old lash caps off. Like I said, these CB Performance lash caps are they're pretty tight. I don't have one off to demonstrate. But when I get one off, I'll kind of demonstrate on how tight they are compared to the other standards on the market. So I try to build a tool like my parts guy, heads guy has, and we'll see if it'll work. But yeah, I need that magnet again. I need the air again. And the tool, Harbor Freight tool, recommends not having the air pressure from the air compressor over 100 psi. Mine's set to 80 over there, so we should be pretty good. I did set a towel over here to keep that little clip from falling down into the engine. So there's another obstacle you have to deal with. Since we're dealing with spring pressure, probably should put some glasses on. Now the only thing holding it on is that lash cap. So what I did here is I basically got a couple of these couplers from the hardware, ground this coupler down to hopefully fit over that lash cap, and threaded the bigger one on, threaded onto my, what do you call this thing, slide hammer. Nothing happened. Might need to modify it some. Just not grabbing a hold of nothing. Huh. I'll listen to that. I think I gotta grind that so it fits in there a little better. Of course. Alright, that worked like a dream, except for I did it off camera. If I do the other one, hopefully I remember to turn the camera back on. Here's the old spring and the retainer. CB Performance, I believe these are titanium. And notice down there they do have a shim. I guess I have to figure that out when I go do my test here. I'm not a head builder, don't know a whole lot on the mechanics of all these things, but it seems like everybody always talks about 1.5 inches install height. So well, I guess we'll just squeeze it down so that there's 1.5 inches and see what both springs measure. Head in there, and I'm noticing most of the noise is coming out of my exhaust. That's, well, they're pretty good. That's not good. Engine did sit all winter, so hoping once it warms up that maybe that'll work its way in. So if not, I'll have to, once I get it up, fired up, driving around, do a compression test, and if not, maybe the heads are going to have to come off for a little lappity lap. Okay, new spring on, new retainer on. Now these little clips are a bugger, so it's always best to have a little magnet handy and some grease. A little assembly of grease on here, and this is cumbersome. Especially when you can't see anything anymore. I usually like this, it's probably kind of hard to see hands and shoulders and stuff getting away, but I usually like to put the first clip on and rotate it down towards the bottom of this, and then go for the second. It's easier to put them in on the top. Alright, got one of the other keepers knocked out. So you gotta really watch because these suckers fly out. And now to show you how the puller works. Pretty slick. Put it in behind the retainer clip. Give it a good whack. Voila! For us putting these bad boys on there and try to wiggle them off, and I was making no progress. Forgot the retainer. There again, as the air compressor's making a bunch of noise. All right, that's not too bad. It's probably a lot easier to do these off the engine. I do have this tool over here. This is my valve compressing press. They used to take springs off when the engine is out of the car, when the heads are off the car. And both of my last two head guys actually use this big like C-clamp with like a vice grip like thing on it to compress the springs, and that gets the job done in a hurry. I don't even think they really even have to, sometimes I think they have to tap the retainers, but I think most of the time that just the force of that tool separates them. But you can't do that when the head is on the engine. It's something you do when it's off the engine. But yeah, I'm going to rotate this around, get the other two done, and then before I'm completely finished, I want to find my spring tool and measure the difference between the new ones and the old ones. Curious minds want to know. So hang in there. Yay, I found it. It was in the bottom of one of my drawers. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to stick it in the press over there and with the valve spring and compress it and use the calipers that I've got set 1.5. And we'll squish the old one and the new one to the same height and see how much difference there is in pressure. And take note. Alright, here's the press and the broken 5-speed. Might not fit underneath there. Might have to try it with a tape measure. Didn't think this over very well, did I? Maybe if I got rid of a block. Inch and a half. What we got for spring pressure rate? Not much. What are you done in there? Can you read that? Just over 100. Not quite 150. That's the old one. Let's get the new one. Stick this up this way so we can read it a little better. gear comparison. Alright, so that's a tight 1.5. And roughly about the same. It might be having a little more tension. I think the other one, review the footage. I think this one's right at 150. I think the other one's a tad under. In a roundabout way, I actually pretty impressed with these springs. Don't look like they lost a whole lot of pressure in the last 2 years, and I've actually put, you know, probably more miles on the car than I have with the older springs. Now that I drive it and, you know, do this drag and, or I should say that I'm attempting to do this drag and drive stuff. Yeah, I think I will continue buying these VW 650 springs from CB Performance, and maybe not change them out as, or maybe I don't have to change them out as routinely as I normally do with the older ones. But I'm gonna get back at this, get this last one changed, wrap this all up, and, you know, put it back in the car here. I've got a couple other little things I want to do. I want to build some sheet metal that goes down underneath here and, you know, shoots the air out the back of the car. I've been wanting to do that for quite a while now, and of course clean it all up. This thing's a slobbering mess. I discovered I've got a oil cooler leak, and then I had a breather line on the back of the car that wasn't exactly tight, so there was oil all over that too. A couple things I wanted to point out here is one, if you don't have this Harbor Freight tool, you know, for the adapter hoses, you can simply make your own fittings anyways by using like an old spark plug. I got one here for 14 millimeter and one for 12. What you do is you basically just cut the little ring off that's on the spark plug that holds the ceramic part in, and, you know, that ceramic part will fall right out. Then you can thread it for whatever hose you're going to use, and then put an adapter on like I did here. Probably this will get a little cumbersome with the engine tin, since you guys go down in there. Probably be best, you know, I made this in my early years when I was testing engines without all the tin on there, but you could actually, you know, put a little fitting in there with a hose on there, or a extension, and then put your fitting on the outside, so at least it sticks out and you can get your air hose on it a little better. The other thing I wanted to point out, I think I said I was going to point out, was the difference in these lash caps. This one here is a run-of-the-mill lash cap, your everyday, kind of the other maker. This one is your CB Performance one. And a couple little things you notice right off the bat, these have little holes in them. I guess they're like an oiling hole, help lube stuff. And I think they do stand a little taller, so you got to do a little measuring, make sure you're not going to be hitting your retainer clips. But this is kind of what I wanted to show you. I know Gene Bird makes a good one too, if they ever have them in stock, but look. These fit loose on the valve stem. Easy to put on, easy to take off, but if you experience any valve float and you get a little bit of gap between your rocker arm and your lash cap, they come flying off, and yeah, that's not good. The CB Performance ones, you know, they fit really tight. I'm gonna have trouble getting that off probably. Not doing too bad. They haven't hammered it on yet. But yeah, there's no, you know, it's gonna take a little more for that one to pop off. Like you see, I had to have a tool to get it to remove. They're really not that bad price from CB Performance. I think they're like, when they're on sale, they're around $25. I did order them. Well, at least I thought I ordered them when I ordered my valve springs. But I accidentally ordered more retaining clips, which, you know, it's a good idea I have these, because these are a single groove with like a 7-degree angle on them, where the other ones, you can see this valve right here has got 3 grooves on it. Now focus on the valve. You see that this one's got 3 grooves on it. That takes a different keeper. I like the 7-degree one that CB Performance chooses to do on their valves. But yeah, it'll be good to probably have those along with me on a drag and drive. Till next time, keep cruising, keep shifting those gears, and always enjoy the ride. It's time to get busy again. All right, look at that, all done. know if you want to consider that the hard part or the easy part, but but it's done, done for now.